Okay, show you how to break this down. It's unloaded, it's open. Close the bolt. Make sure the hammer's back. Depress the top plunger, the spring cap. Twist the barrel bushing. It comes out nice and easy. Be careful that it doesn't fly off and hit the ceiling. Then you slide back to the first notch where this barrel locking pin easily just pulls right out like that. Then the barrel will slide off. Then it breaks down into several various pieces, but without tools and very easily. Pull the spring out, pull the barrel bushing off, take the barrel out. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main pieces. Alright, I'm going to show you how to clean it now. All you need is a few basic cleaning elements and some brushes. We got this, I like a good spray rem oil. It can spray out certain areas that you can't get to or don't want to mess with too much. Almost like a rinse, rinses it right out and cleans it. You always got to have the Hops No. 9 solvent. That takes all the black residue and everything off the barrel and all the functioning parts. Then when you're done, you need some good rem oil to oil those parts up and keep them lubricated. You need a good clean little workstation like I have here. But it's basically, very simple. You don't need tools. Can all be done by hand, but I do recommend wearing gloves. Oh, and a lot of light is very good too. I like to wear a headset. Okay. Now you have the pistol part with the trigger and the hammer. This here, you don't take this apart at all. But you do want to wipe out the interior where the bullet slides in and the magazine comes in. This is all charred. The slide here, you want to wipe down the hammer. Do not squeeze the trigger while this is back. You could, but you don't want to. You don't want to ever take any of this apart. You should never have to. So again, you're going to use a little bit of solvent. I like to take a toothbrush. They actually make gun brushes. I have one right here. But toothbrush works really nice. Again, I'm just soaking this all down with solvent. This isn't really removing the stuff. It's just breaking it up. You want to have this part right here, this ramp, if you will, where the barrel lines up here. You want to have that nice and smooth because that's where the bullet goes in and keeps it jam free. So get her nice and soaked with some solvent. Obviously not over soaked, but scrub some in there. Let that soak as well. Now, while that's soaking, we go back to our barrel. Because we're going to put a wire brush through it. A little bit more solvent on it. This really gets in the rifling, which is very important to keep the gun accurate and functioning correctly. Again, through the front. You want to go straight through. Try not to stop. Back out. Just run it through a couple times. You don't have to go crazy. You could actually wear out your rifling if you were to go crazy doing this all the time, but this is a soft brush. It won't hurt it. And put it through a few times with some solvent on it. Again, you're just going to let it soak. I like to take this exact same brush, do a little extra work. Again, on the feed ramp here. Make sure I get all that caked on gook off there. A little on the slide. I'm going to let that all soak again some more. You can run a cloth through your spring. I like to do that. The spring, believe it or not, builds up good. Just kind of spin it through. You don't have to go crazy. You'll see there'll be some stuff left over on the clean rag, which will show you it was worth doing. So wipe that up. I actually put a Q-tip through the end here. Wipe this stuff down real good. And that's that. Now, to get all that gook off and finally polish it up, you just put a few more clean cloths on there. And this is where the cleaning actually takes place. I just like to run it through dry. See all that black coming off there? That's what you want out of there. You're basically going to keep doing that until no black comes out, but you can use these same cloths, flip them over, run it through again. Pretty much same thing with all the other pieces. You want to just wipe them down clean. Make sure you got all the black stuff off. Then a good wipe down on the slide. Inside and out. Sure to get the rails real good. Same thing on the handle. And you're pretty much ready to put some lubricating oil. I like to use a Teflon Rem oil, not in the barrel, but just on the slides. You basically want to oil the bottom slide and the top here, and you just put a little bit on a Q-tip or on a rag, very little, 2 drops, and you wipe it all through it here. Same thing on the slide. You wipe it on the inside rails and on this bottom rail here. Just a very little bit, couple drops, and on this interior rail here, and that's it. You don't put any on the spring or the barrel. Then you're pretty much ready for reassembly. Okay, now for the advanced slide cleaning edition. On this slide you have some internal parts. You have the firing pin, which includes the firing pin and the spring. It also has a slide on the back here that holds in the firing pin, and the ejector rod, which is here to the right, that round thing there. There's the end of the ejector rod, which grabs onto the shell and ejects it after you shoot it. That's the hole where the firing pin comes out, and as you can see, there's some black char on there. Unfortunately, that same black char gets in that hole, gets around the spring on the firing pin, and can cause it to malfunction. It also builds up on the back end of this ejector rod. See that little hook there? It builds up on the back of there and doesn't allow it to grab the shell properly after a while. It's not a problem unless you're putting a lot of rounds through it generally, but you still need to clean that area. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick, real simple, and it is very beneficial to the workmanship of your piece of equipment here. Okay, this is the only part that I require a tool to disassemble, and it's the firing pin catch. This is the firing pin here. You can see it depressing in. That's what the hammer hits. That hits the back of the primer that makes it go in. So in order to get it out, you have to push the firing pin in like I just did. Let me show you again. And work this firing pin catch out. It's pretty simple. Push it in all the way, and then you slide it back. The tricky part is don't let the firing pin come flying out. Put your thumb over it like this, and then the firing pin easily slides right out. This is what it looks like. It's basically just a piece of steel with a spring around it. This end is what hits the back of the bullet. So you'd want to keep that clean and free of any debris or problems. There's the hole through where the firing pin goes. You can see it there. You got to clean all that out with solvent. Basically just a Q-tip. And also, what I find is the most important part about this is you must remove this round piece. This round piece here is the ejector. This very easily slides out. Just like this. This piece here is very, very important to the function of the firearm. See the little grip here? The little claw part? That is what grabs the bullet and pulls it out of the gun, believe it or not. When that gets built up with too much stuff, it can't grab the edge of the bullet properly. So that all must be scrubbed off with solvent. And then of course that same hole, there's now 2 holes there. One for the firing pin, one for the ejector. You got to clean both of those holes out and scrub the reverse side. So you need to get started on that with some soft brushes, Q-tips, and some Hops No. 9 solvent. Okay, so in the advanced cleaning of the slide, we have removed 4 additional pieces from the slide. The ejector, the firing pin spring, and the firing pin catch, which also lines up the ejector. So it's foolproof reassembly. Once you've scrubbed and cleaned and wiped down these 4 additional pieces, they do not need to be oiled. You do not put oil in the holes because that helps carbon and dirt build up in there. You just get them super nice and clean and all wiped out with hops and then dry wiped out. I also scrubbed the other end to make sure it was nice and clean and functioning well, and put a couple drops of oil on these inside rails just prior to reassembly. Also, when I put those couple drops of oil in there, I wipe them out. So there's no oil buildup whatsoever at all. Now, we need to reassemble. Very simple. Basically, it's the disassembly in reverse. Let's go through that. Okay, so we put our spring back on our firing pin. Make sure it's working right. Then, you take the slide and you put the ejector back in. Slides right in very easily. Do not force it. And it has a special little slot inside of here so you can line it up. So the ejector always stays lined up, and it gets lined up with the firing pin catch. So now you put your firing pin back in like this. Make sure it's working and free. Turn it upside down and slide, pin slide. It has a special slot for it. You get it so it catches like that. Then you just simply take a small screwdriver. You could use a Q-tip. And slide the firing pin catch back in. See how it popped through on itself? And it's self-lined up through the slot, the ejector, which is right here, which catches the end of the rim of the shell and pulls it out. It's completely clean, free of any oil or debris, and it's reassembled, just that simple. Those 4 additional pieces, I feel, must be cleaned, maintained, and taken out every time you clean the gun. It only takes a few extra minutes, and it's well worth the effort. Go with the reassembly again. Reassembly is very simple. Take your slide, take your barrel, take your spring, reinstall these pieces just as they came out. Put your barrel lock back on. Goes in very easily and twists. Then you take your slide and slide it back on. Very simply. Shouldn't have to be forced. Take your barrel lock. Make sure you're lined up. Take your pin. Place it back in like so. Locks right in. And you just take your spring cap. Load it back in there like you took it off. She's functioning perfectly. That's it.